Hey, Cleaning Nation, Mike Campion here with the amazing Suzanne Bandick. Today, we are going to talk about the dreaded, the feared, the business killer of analysis paralysis. I almost hate using that. Love hate with using it kind of in our title and our topic, because it's one of those things everyone's kind of heard and said, like, I know it's, sounds cute. We've heard it before. But boy, oh boy, when you are stuck in it, it's a bear, and it's hard to get anything done or move forward. So important enough to bring up, even if it's been said or been done before. Really doesn't matter if you've heard anything before. It just matters if you're struggling with it. So if you feel like this is stopping you from having the life and the business you want, this is the podcast for you. Even if it's something you may have heard before. Kind of three options. You might hear some new information, which is good. You might hear some old information in a way that hits you differently and you're able to take action that you weren't before. Or you might hear old information in the same way you heard it before, but at the time you heard it last time, you just weren't ready to do something, and now you're in a different spot. So lots of opportunities for this to be helpful, even if it's something you've heard before. So that said, Suzanne, I'm going to turn it over to the smart one on the call, and better looking. Rarely are people both when it comes to be usually smarter or better. You got both of them, girl. So you're in a rare class.
Today, I'd like to dissect and kind of analyze the process. Why do we do it, and how to get out of it, how to take the action? Because really, analysis paralysis is not making the decision or not taking the action. And we come up with lots of excuses. And the first thing I'm going to say to intro this whole thing is, what if the not taking the action, the not making the decision is causing a slow death to your business? That's the key factor. That's why we want to look at this at all. Otherwise, you say, I'm good. I just need to analyze everything, and I don't want to make a decision too quickly. Okay? So I'm also going to use here, my second point is something that, Mike, I really got from you. And that is, time is too valuable to waste being indecisive. Does that kind of sound like you?
I preaching literally, I'm not a choir, but yes, not literally, but yes, 1,000 times yes.
Right. And you are a brilliant example for me for that, right? Like, I'll even tell some of our clients, I'll say, when Mike goes into a restaurant, he prides himself on choosing what he wants to eat, just seconds. And then he goes on to something else, right? Still do that?
I do, although now there's a lot of pressure. If I'm eating in public, I'm like, oh boy, I can't look at the menu more than 30. I'm going to get caught. So yes, that is my custom. And I'd say 80-90% of the time, oddly enough, when I'm tired, I get, mentally, which is a good indicator of when you're at your best, you're typically decisive. And when you're not, that's one of the first things to go, is your ability to make decisions.
So let's discuss why. Why do we do it? Why do we want to overanalyze? And let's take things, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to, before we move on to the why, I wanted to just hit some points on why it's how it's so insidious. So again, I love that Suzanne's like, hey, I watch you. I'm like, I watch you too. Anyone I find effective, I pay attention. And I found winners are decisive almost exclusively. And generally they make better decisions than other people, but I found they make better decisions than other people, not because they're smarter. Sometimes they are, but I don't think that's why that's why they make better decisions. It's because they make more of them. A lot of people be like, oh, you're really smart, or you're good at speaking, or whatever. I'm like, you know why? Because I ask such stupid questions. If anyone knew 20-year-old Mike, you'd be like, that guy was so dumb, but he was inquisitive and he'd ask stupid. I had no shame and no fear. I know all of it. Didn't care what anyone thought of me. I just wanted to know the answer. So that's a muscle. You ask a lot of questions, you start getting answers, but more importantly, you start asking better questions, and that's really important. You start making decisions, you start building the muscle. The reason I intentionally make fast decisions at restaurants is because it's a muscle, and sometimes your body doesn't really make the distinction between little decisions and big decisions, and a muscle is a muscle. It just works regardless. So winners are decisive. When they make a decision that does not suit them, they just make another decision to fix it. If that doesn't work, they make another decision. So there's rare decisions that don't involve, none that I can see that involve death or bodily harm, which is very infrequent when it comes to business. that can't just be fixed with another decision or made even better with another decision. So winners are decisive. When they get an outcome they don't like, they don't see it as a failure. They just make another decision. Not making a decision is a decision. There's no such thing as making a decision. There's only I'm going to decide now or I'm going to decide later, which is a decision. I'm deciding now to do nothing, which is a decision to do the same thing that you're doing now. That's still a decision. So there is no such thing as thinking it over. There's only I'm going to do this. I'm going to continue on the exact same path that I am now with say words that I'm going to think it over. But if we're reality, I'm like, great, let me videotape you and just see the 12 minutes where I'm thinking it over. Never happens. Really, we're just saying I'm going to ignore it until another time, which almost always means I'm just going to continue doing what I've been doing. But the problem is it's a hard decision because what I've been doing hasn't been getting what I want. So that's why I'm at a decision point. Rarely people come to me like, Mike, I'm making so much money. I love my business so much. I get so much value emotionally and in every other regard out of it. What do I do? I don't get that. Usually they're calling because there's some sort of an issue or a problem. So not making a decision is a decision. And that decision is I'm going to keep doing the same thing that I'm doing now, which is fine if you want to keep getting what you're getting. Last thing, and Suzanne touched on this, indecision always feels bad 100% of the time. I have found most of the time when I make a decision, I feel better, even if the decision doesn't turn out the way that I don't want, because you're inherently powerless when you don't make a decision. And when you make a decision, even if you don't get the outcome you want, you still have empowered yourself and you're in motion, right? You can't steer a parked car. And when you don't make any decisions, you just stay where you're at. And it feels better sometimes even to be driving, even if you're in the wrong direction, you're like, okay, I can turn around, I can figure it out. But if you're just sitting there, it feels gross. So 100% of the time you make a decision, you almost always feel better. And almost 100% of the time you don't make a decision, you feel worse. And if you make a bad decision, you fix it with another good one. All right, that's all. That might be all the rant I got today, Suzanne. Now let's fix the goddamn thing.
Oh my goodness, Mike. I hope everybody rewinds, and I could have taken notes, but you were talking really quickly.
That's unlike me. I'm so sorry. It's so unusual.
It's hard to take notes, but yes, that's encompassing exactly what I wanted to discuss today. And let's maybe break it down into pieces. One, for a cleaning company business owner, some of the things that could be going on in your head are, should I hire this employee? Should I fire an employee? Should I spend money on this? What if I'm spending the wrong money? And how about price increases, right? If I do it, there's a problem. If I don't do it, there's a problem. What do I do? So there's real business decisions that need to be made that ultimately will affect us and the business. And the reason I believe, like, there's a couple of things that I see as to why we often do those words. I need to analyze this. I can't make the decision right now, which usually ends in doing nothing. And one is we worry we'll make the wrong decision. Mm-hmm. Right? But what if I make the wrong decision? So we say, I need all the facts. I need more time. And the second thing is the fear of change. Mm-hmm. Right? If I don't do it, I don't have to deal with it. You want a visual of this. Imagine that the tiger or the lion bearing down on an ostrich. And the ostrich says, I'm just going to bury my head in the sand. Right? So he buries his head in the sand. He doesn't see the predator coming at him, but the predator's still coming. This is what we're doing when we say, you don't understand, I need to analyze all the facts. So I'm going to give everybody, when I talk about the how-tos, I'm going to give everybody a chance to analyze the facts, but there's time to stop analyzing.
And the reality is, Dan, we've never made a decision with all the facts ever. Never. So there's never going to be universal. None of us are omniscient or omnipresent or can go backwards and forwards in time. So when we say I need to get all the facts, that's, well, then just good luck. That's never going to happen. So then you're like, fine, I just need more facts. But if pushed, great, what facts do you need? We're really squishy on that. So I would eliminate from any one of our vocabulary, I need all the facts. And I would eliminate, I need more facts and replace it with, I need this. So again, Suzanne's going to give us an outline. I just wanted to take off the table some universe in which you will have all the facts to make a decision. So if you're expecting that as a potential reality, stop. For us, those of us who are married, at some point, he said, might this person take a drastic change tomorrow or 10 years from now or at any point in the future? Yes. Is there any way to know that forever? Nope. I'm going to go forward or I'm not, without all the facts. And that's, one of the bigger, if not the biggest decision we're going to make. So we can make that one without all the facts, with shockingly little facts, sometimes, depending. Good Lord, we could decide on who to hire, if I should fire this lady today, tomorrow, or never, with a lot less facts on if I should marry this woman for the rest of my life. All right, please continue.
Right. And that's part of, we're never going, like you said, we're never going to have all of the facts. Well, all we can do is make the best decision we can with the information we have now.
Well said.
Right. I also want to point out that not making a decision, analyzing, is causing an energy drain. It's causing you to feel tired, to feel stressed, distressed. It's affecting all of your relationships in business and not, because you constantly feel like you have this weight on your shoulders of this decision that you haven't made and you're waffling, should I, should not.
I'm going to say something controversial, but I'm going to preface it by saying this is my experience. So anyone that thinks this isn't like, you should all do this. This is just what's happened for me. Actually, Susan, you have to tell me, we've never had this discussion. I don't know if it's how other people respond to the world, but I've had this experience over and over and over again. I hear about this runner's high. Sounds 100% made up. I'm very suspect of people that say they have a runner's high. I hate running. I wish I could have a runner's high. I never felt it. I definitely feel a decision-making high before I know the decision is going to get the result that I want. Literally, just if I know I have to have a difficult conversation, best thing I can use, because we all can picture it, is getting on stage, right? I'll book I don't do a ton of speaking, or what I did, you book a gig, 3-6 months in advance, they pay you. You're like, oh, it's gonna be great. And the closer you get, you start going, oh, I got to do that. And it just gets less and less. And the worst moment is the 2 minutes before, because you can't make it go any faster. So like you're stuck in this inability you can prepare. That's it. The time will come when the time comes. And every goddamn time before I get on stage, I'm like, why do I do this stupid thing? I hate it. I got it on plan. I'm never going to speak again. And then 3 minutes after I get off stage, I'm like, this is my favorite. Why don't I do more speaking? This is the favorite thing in the world. Because I can't. And that's a place where I put myself in a situation I've made a decision, but I can't go forward. So when it's a decision, and again, that's a different decision because I made a commitment. I got to do it. But a decision I've made, big decisions. I literally just made one in my business this last month. Going back and forth, blah, blah, blah. And just like you said, Suzanne, I had that low grade, just ickiness. And you almost don't even notice it once you've been living with it for a minute. And I made the decision. I feel really good about it. I wouldn't have made it, but there's no data. I could have made the absolute wrong decision. Feels great. And I found that to happen more and more and more. Again, which isn't like, so you should make decisions just to feel good. Like in that case, do drugs. But that's what I've experienced. Have you found that in other humans, Suzanne, or am I just being crazy?
Hey, Clean Nation, Mike Campion here. One of my least favorite things about these podcasts are we found that people love the show and they love the information, but when I talk to you guys in person, stuff doesn't get done. People love the podcast, but they don't take any action. If you'd like to actually implement this and get this done in your world, we have a whole team of people that do exactly that. If you go to growmycleaningcompany.com/talk, you can book a time with either myself personally or one of our teammates to at least help you come up with a plan to actually implement and change your life. So if you want to go from getting these good ideas in your head to getting in your life, just book a free call with myself or my team, growmycleaningcompany.com/talk, and we can go from this one-to-many format to one-to-one and really get you some results. Excited to talk.
Mike, welcome to the decision high.
Yeah, I'm like, it's just a weird thing I do.
Decision making high.
I literally feel out, and the bigger the decision, so stupid stuff. Like I feel super smug in a restaurant when everyone's looking at their menu and I've made my decision. I'm so superior. It's such a gross feeling, but it's a tiny high that's yucky. But when you make a big decision, I feel really goddamn good. All right, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing behind that, I believe, is that we're taking our power back.
Yeah.
We're taking some control over our lives. And whenever we take the action versus it happens to us, it's so much better. I did that. I made that decision. Feels good.
You're so right.
By the way, folks, I have seen Mike in the real life business world. He'll make his decision. Maybe we try it for a while and he'll say, this isn't working. Let's make a new decision.
Yeah.
How about that? Right?
So thank you for bringing that up, because I do want to give both sides to that. So it doesn't just sound like, using myself as an example. I don't know, Suzanne can correct me. If I had to really look at it, I'll bet you 65, maybe 70% of the decisions I make are not the right decision or a negative decision. Some with large consequences that are hard and expensive to reverse. Most with small consequences that are easy and quick to reverse. But I got this from Jeff Bezos. I think he wrote it in one of his investor letters. Business isn't like baseball. When you go up to baseball, you might strike out a lot, but the best you can do is a grand slam, right? If you happen to be at bat where there's 3 people on base and you hit a home run, you can get 4 runs, which is really good. He's like, business. So, and you only have to hit, 300 in baseball, and you're, 1 and 3 is 2 and 3 strike out, 1 and 3 hit, you're in the Hall of Fame. Most people get that. But what we don't get is in business, even if you make 95% of your decisions wrong, but the one you make right can be a 1,000,000 to 1 return on that investment. So I just want to encourage you guys. I don't want you to be like, oh, Mike makes decisions because he's such a fast decision maker. He probably makes them all right and everything in his life is perfect. It's like, no. There are consequences. And I love Suzanne going, sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. If I had to put a number on it, I would go 65, 70% don't work out to 30, 35% do work out. Yet we're wildly effective because I 100% believe making the decision to do nothing and just let life happen to me or to us or the business is just gonna fail 100% of the time. Like atrophy always wins. So even if you don't feel like you're good at making decisions, A, the way to get better is to make them more often. And B, I would say of the 70% bad decisions I make, I would say 90% of the time they still beat no decision. So I just wanted to set a real expectations. I don't want you to hear me going, just make a decision. You're going to be rich and famous. Nothing will ever go wrong. It's like, no, you'll make decisions with negative consequences 100% of the time. Not 100% of the time, but yes, there's always that risk. And more often than not, you'll make a bad decision. But that bad decision, again, overwhelmingly is still going to be better than the decision to do nothing.
I get the visual of the plane course correcting all the way to its destination.
So much better said.
Look, I'm hitting a storm. Look, I'm going to course correct. You got to be moving.
I'll bet you they're off track, right? It's just little, like, it's not like they go perfectly. They're off by this and they come back. And they're off by that and they come back.
Exactly. Okay. So let's look at ways to help all of us make decisions more quickly. Okay. Number 1 is a mindset game. It's decide. Things always work out. And if that particular decision doesn't work out, you'll make it work out or you'll make a new decision. Okay, it's a mindset game. So number 1 is make the decision. I always make things work out. How does that feel? Okay. Number 2, another mindset game. Ask the right questions. So quite often we'll say, what if I get it wrong? And it stops us dead from making the decision. How about we change the verbiage to, what if I get it right? What if it leads to more profitability? What if it leads to a more dynamic business, a better team? What if I get it right? It's a change of mindset. The one will stop you dead. What if I get it wrong? Because we can always go, we're talking about a future. The decision we make now will affect our future. Our mind always goes to one of 2 places. We have 2 thought paths. One is fear and loss in our future, and one is wealth and abundance. So if we make the decision thinking fear and loss, either we can't make it or it turns out bad. But if we can make the decision looking for, course correcting, looking for the wealth and abundance, knowing that, if we fired that person and now we're short a person, we're going to make it work. right? Knowing that we can course correct on the way, because you got to get, I just talked to somebody about this yesterday. You got to get the cancer cell out of the company, right? There's no way on earth you need a person more than if they're causing a problem in your company. It's the cancer cell. Got to get them out. Know that everything's going to happen. What if I get this right? What if it leads to a better team? What if I make more money? That's the wealth and abundance mindset. So that's 1 and 2. 1, decide it works out. 2, do a what if to the positive.
So again, I'm always trying to play devil's advocate to Suzanne, and she handles it just so gracefully and wisely. So again, I couldn't agree with more with nothing you said. I have any reservations about. That said, I do always want to, not always, but often want to count the downside. So how I would do it, and tell me if this is effective, or if like, no, I think you're missing something, or this isn't serving you as well. I like starting with the downside, but I don't like the global question of what if it goes wrong? Because then we just start getting into unreasonable, like things that are just unreasonable responses. What I would ask is, what's the worst reasonable downside? And how quickly and easily could I fix that? Like, is that something that would take years to fix, millions of dollars, days, minutes? Like, what's the worst reasonable downside? Because we kind of get into this unreasonable, I let this person go and they take every client and employee I've ever had, and I'm destitute. My wife, please, and I go to jail for tax evade. Like, and it's like, okay, just settle down. When it's really like, yeah, honestly, worst case, not bad, not reasonable, just worst reasonable. I'll be miserable for 2 weeks. It'll just be a really unhappy 2 weeks. Okay. What happens if I do nothing? So we can't just compare it to nothing. Like, we just, what if I do nothing? Well, instead of being a 7 out of 10 miserable for 2 weeks, I'll be a 3 out of 10 miserable for 6 months. And then I'll probably quit it. Probably end up with the same thing. Cool. And then I ask now what if I do the other thing? What's the best case? Reasonable. Like, I'm not going to be a trillionaire tomorrow, but what's the best reasonable case? Well, maybe I could do it and she's happier than I thought. And then all that 2 weeks of pain and suffering is really none. Like, it just gets better immediately. Is that too much focusing on our negative? Or is that?
Well, it's actually kind of my number 3 on the list.
God dang, I'm always jumping ahead like it.
It's perfect. It's an aspect of the pros and the cons. Right? Just do yourself a quick list. What I'm saying is, don't spend days, don't spend weeks, don't spend months on the list. Put them down, write them down, get them out of your head. This is what will happen. This will be the good. This will be the bad. If I do it, if I don't do it, this is the good. This is the bad. And make your decision.
I'm even going to add, I like step 2 so well. I'm going to put that at the end and the beginning. So I think I had it wrong. I'm like, I put it at the end, you put it at the beginning. I'm like, let's do both. So I think I'm going to decide to be decisive, think about the good things that could happen, kind of weigh out the pros and cons of both, making this decision and making quote unquote no decision, which is really deciding to continue doing the same thing or deciding to do something different. Those are really the only options we have. And then I'm going back to, okay, what would be the potential negative cost? I want to hit that positive thing again, because I know making a decision from fear or shame or guilt or any of that does not inhibit, that really hurts your ability to make good decisions. And making decisions from a place of hope and expectation just feels better. And as a leader, people do not want to be around, if all I did weekly meetings, all right, guys, got another tough decision, probably going to go badly. I don't know, guys. I don't think we're going to see our way out of this. What do y'all think? No one's going to want to be at that meeting. Who wants to be led by that guy? My team's strong enough. One would probably go, hey, Mike, why don't you let me be in charge for a minute? And I'd probably, yeah, you're right. I'm really, why don't I take a break? Yeah, I think I'm going to let Suzanne do some of the thinking. Yeah. But when you come in and be like, hey, I'm really excited about some opportunities. Here's what I see as the downside. Here's what I see as the upside. I think it's going to be great. Give me some feedback. People want to be on that train. So aside from feeling good yourself, other people feel good. And when people feel good, they want to be a part of what you're doing. When you feel bad and you're like, well, if I feel bad, by golly, my team's going to know how bad this is. Watch how quickly you don't have a very good team. We're a team that just compiles on. Quality people won't tolerate that kind of woe is me, everything sucks. They're going to want to be like Suzanne, not acceptable. Like, good. You feel you have a good pity party? Feel good? Cool. Can we get back at being adults now? She would say it nicer than that, but I would get the point. All right, I'm going to let you wrap, Suzanne, because I've been talking a lot, and this is really your area of expertise.
Okay. So in closing, remember, not making the decision or taking the action could be causing a slow death to your business. So what do we do? Yeah. So what do? We make the best decision possible with the information we have, knowing we can always make it work.
Yeah. We'll make another decision if it's not so good. And a great way to get more information, make another decision. Because again, at the end of the day, should I marry this person or not? When you'll have the best information 20 years afterwards of not marrying or marrying, but you won't know until you take the decision. So yeah, and I love what you said about you want to have a slow death for your business. I think the runner's high is still fake, for the record. I can't say everyone has a decision-making. I do, but I do believe everybody does have the non-decision-making low, like that just low grade. Just like if you ever go to the gym and you're carrying weights around for a long time, or you got something, you're, putting something on your back, playing, doing something fun, and they get off. You're like, holy crap, do I feel light? This feels amazing. You almost just get used to like, oh, I guess I've got 120 pounds on my back. That's my life. And you don't even realize when they get off, you're like, oh my goodness. I think that walking around with those decisions is just a guaranteed weight. Yeah, cool. Anything else to add?
That's it.
Thanks for sticking with us, guys, gals. As always, if you need support from us as a team, feel free to reach out. And if not, these types of decisions, especially when you're kind of building that muscle, often best made with some sort of support, coach, mentor. Again, it's got to be the right person. The wrong person will just not serve you, but the right person, whether it's a paid relationship, it really doesn't matter. Just someone that you trust and has your best interest in mind, and ideally is good at making decisions and cares about you. You can do this on your own, and building that muscle is you want to get that as a CEO. But if you're still struggling with it, you're going to do a lot better with people, with support. And even when you're good at it, you'll still want to go faster and faster and faster. So as opposed to sitting on it for a week, you'll get to a day, and as opposed to a day, you'll get to an hour. And that's all part of growing up. All right. Appreciate your time and attention. Reach out. Let us know if we can be of any help. Any feedback is always appreciated. If you're getting value, throw us a 5-star review, and appreciate your time and attention. Talk soon. See you.
Hey, Cleaning Nation, if you dug the content you just got, we don't do any ads and I don't sell anything on this podcast, but if you would just subscribe, rate, and review, it would be huge, and I'd be so appreciative. Not only is it going to help me, but you'll help other owners of cleaning companies across the world work less, make more, and get profitable. So if you appreciate the value we give, again, subscribe, rate, and review. It would mean the world to me. I'd really appreciate it, and we sure appreciate your time and attention.